let's get an update, if we can, on the couple who you lost at the weekend due to injury. Tommy Lee obviously was concerning. Josh Andrews just about made it to half-time, but had to be replaced at half-time. You were waiting for some news, I think, immediately after the game. Do you know a bit more now?
Yeah, I've had a couple of days to assess, and they're both sore, so very, very doubtful for tomorrow. As I said before, Tommy's a quick healer, so whatever is affecting Tommy, I know that once he's got an opportunity to get back on the pitch, he will, even if he has to go through a bit of pain to do so. Josh the same, and so we just have to see whether tomorrow is a viable option for both of them, or we have to leave them till Saturday, which is, they're both very important games. So,
is that main guy, that centre forward who leads the line, a bit of a concern at the moment? Adedoyin missed the weekend. Andrews is unavailable. Matt Lowe's been playing at fullback.
Yeah, there's a bit of a concern with Coley being out. And Josh Woods is a different type of player than Coley or Josh Andrews. And can be effective in different ways. We have to maybe alter the way we play a little bit. But it is a concern, yeah. Going forward, it is a concern, and we've got, if you look at first team pros, if you look at professionals that we've got signed to the club, you might say, well, there's a lot of numbers, but if you analyse it, a lot of them are first year pros who are learning the game still. It's like an extension of an apprenticeship, and so. You do, when you suffer quite a glut of injuries like we have done lately, you do start to worry that you've got enough strength and depth. And some of these youngsters might have to be called upon.
We've seen in this competition Adekoya, Devonport, even Papula from the under-18s. Is it a big difference between giving them a few minutes off the bench in the trophy and sort of hanging your hat on them for a league game or playing game after game?
Well, it is. The bright star in it always was young Tricky. And unfortunately, I think he was due to come on Saturday, funny enough. But we managed to get, I think Ross managed to get through the last 2 or 3 minutes. But, Tricky's done well in the game, scored a couple of goals, and so, he's one that we've got to look at as well. And, best will in the world, you're not going to know if these lads are good enough unless you play them. It's difficult, really. It's difficult to get the balance right. We as I said, we have got a lot of players. We are trying to grow our own players, so that means you have to sit on a bit longer than what you normally would. And we're still finding our feet on that. What's the right model? What's the right way to go?
You've already prepared for this game once and got enormously close to kick-off. Does that make it easier 7 days later to kind of go over some of the stuff you've already done? Will it potentially be in players' minds, embedded in there when you'll just be refreshing it?
I think so, but a week ago we probably had about 3 or 4 players fit that we're not going to have fit tomorrow, so probably made it harder, but that's the trials and tribulations of being a football manager. You don't know what the next day is going to bring, let alone the next week. But yeah, the pleasing thing for me is if you see, horrendous conditions Saturday, but if you see how much our lads were up for it, how big characters they were, how big art they showed, and disappointed only getting a point, which is good. And I think we're slowly going in the right direction. And there's a lot of hard work to go. We've got a massive run of games in a short space of time that can make or break you. And hopefully the injuries that we've had won't be too serious. And this can be one of the games that sets us on a roll. And every game's going to have its own importance. We already know that the prize for tomorrow is a home tie, which, you know, you can't ask for anything more than that. So the lads will be up for it as I'll be up for it, and you know, I think the weather conditions will be a little bit better. I mean, the one thing, it's mad because, you know, we're not worried about our pitch. Our pitch is fantastic. You know, fair play to Ben, he's done magnificent, and Sam, who's ably supported him. So they've done really well with that. And then, you know, you had the blow of it being frozen off last week. And then when people can refer to the conditions on the football pitch, it's generally the pitch. You know, is it heavy? Is it, you know, slippy? Is it long? Is it muddy? Whatever. Our pitch is fine. Our pitch can take a lot of rain, but wind can have a big part in a football match. And then when it gets as ridiculous as it was on Saturday, it spoils it. And as I said before, I said on Saturday, you end up playing against the conditions when you want to play against the opposition. Don't think we'll have that problem tomorrow. Hopefully the wind won't be as strong, and we can start to see us pass the ball a bit better.
Just on the draw having been made and knowing what comes next if you get through this game, is that an incentive? Not just a home game, but playing Bolton, who knocked you out last season?
Yeah, without a doubt. And a good crowd should be expected if we can win that game. But, you know, I've always said this when we've been in this situation. We haven't got Bolton in the next round. We've got Lincoln. That's as far as you can look. And that's going to present its own problems.
Will there be a little bit of educated guessing going on? Because not only did you have the team sheets out last week, the players were stripped and ready to go, and so you know what Michael Scabala picked and he knows what you picked, and will you be potentially second guessing each other as to what this time's going to be?
Yeah, we spoke about that in the office before. Yeah, but that's part of the fun, isn't it?
And you've talked about young players and team selection and this competition. It's a strange compromise, I suppose, between giving those opportunities to players and wanting to win games and do well in the competition. You found that balance in previous seasons. Is it something that you have to reassess every season?
You said that with great authority, Dan. We found that balance. We have. We want to win the game. I want to win every game we play. I realise that you have to be able to blood these youngsters. We've got to see what they're made of. Sometimes you can put too many in, and then they get lost, and so you don't see whether they can cope because they're not coping with what they would normally have to cope with on a Saturday. So you've got to be careful that you don't put too many players in at once. Otherwise you don't get a reflection of how good they are.